Chapter 9 of That Mainwaring Affair. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. That Mainwaring Affair by A. Maynard Barber. Chapter 9 Tangled Threads. Upon resuming the examination, the first witness called for was Mary Catron, the second cook, a woman about 35 years of age, with an honest face, but one indicative of a fiery temper. Her testimony was brief, but given with a directness that was amusing. When questioned of the occurrences of the day preceding the murder, she replied, "I know nothing of what went on except from the gossip of the rest. My place was in the kitchen, and I had too much to do that day to be loitering round the halls, leaning on a broom handle and listening at keyholes." And she cast a glance of scathing contempt in the direction of the chambermaid. "Did this gossip that you speak of have any bearing on what has since occurred?" the coroner inquired. "Well, sir, it might and it mightn't. 'Twas mostly about the will that Mr. Mainwaring was making, and as how them that got little was angry that they didn't get more, and them as got much was growling at not getting the whole." "How did the servants gain any knowledge of this will?" "That's more than I can say, sir, except as I knows the nature of some folks." Upon further questioning, the witness stated that on the night of the murder, between the hours of 2 and 3, she was aroused by a sound like the closing of an outside door, but on going to one of the basement windows to listen, she heard nothing further and concluded she had been mistaken. "Did you see the coachman at that time?" she was asked. "A few minutes later I looked out again, and I saw him gaping and grinning at the house, and jabbering to himself like an idiot, and I was minded to send him about his business, if he hadn't a took himself off when he did." "He was perfectly sober, was he not?" "Sober for aught that I know, but to my thinking he's that daft that he's noways responsible for aught that he says." "Were you upstairs soon after the alarm was given?" asked the coroner, when she had told of hearing from the butler the news of the murder. "Yes, sir, I went up as soon as I ever heard what had happened." "Who was in the library at that time?" "Nobody but some of the servants, sir. I met Mr. Whitney just as I came out." "Did you meet anyone else?" "I met no one, but I saw the housekeeper coming out of her son's room. She didn't see me, but she was telling him to get ready quick to go somewheres, and I heard her say to hurry, for every minute was precious." Louis Picot, the head cook, could give no information whatever. When the alarm was given he had rushed, with the other servants, to the scene of the murder, and in his imperfect English, accompanied by expressive French gestures, he tried to convey his horror and grief at the situation, but that was all. The two maids who attended the English ladies were next called upon, but their testimony was mainly corroborative of that of the chambermaid, except that Sarah Whiteley, Miss Carleton's maid, stated in addition that she had seen Mr. Walter LaGrange leave his mother's room in great haste and go downstairs, and a little later, from one of the upper windows, saw him riding away from the stables in the direction of the south gate. But one servant remained, Uncle Mose, as he was familiarly called, the old colored man having charge of the grounds at Fair Oaks. His snow-white hair and bent form gave him a venerable appearance, but he was still active, and the shrewd old face showed both humor and pathos as he proceeded with his story. He had been a slave in his younger days, and still designated his late employer by the old term "marser." He was a well-known character to many present, including Dr. Westlake, who knew that in this instance questions would have to be abandoned, and the witness allowed to tell his story in his own way. "Well, Uncle Mose, you have been employed at Fair Oaks for a long time, haven't you?" "Moah den 20 years, sah. I's had charge of these here grounds, and Marser Mainwaring, he thought nobody but old Mose could take care of 'em, sah." "You were about the grounds as usual Wednesday, were you not?" "I was 'bout the grounds all day, sah, 'cause there was a powerful lot to do a getting ready for the big doings there was going to be on Marser's birthday." "Did you see either of the strangers who called that day?" "I's a comin' to that directly, sah. You see, sah, I wants to say right here, before I goes any further, that I don't know nothing 'cept what took place under my own observation. I don't feel called upon to express no opinions 'bout nobody. I just wants to state a few recurrences that I noted at the time, 'specially 'bout them strangers as was here in particular. Well, sah, the first man, he come here in the morning. The English gentlemens, they had been a-walking in the grounds, and just done gone round the corner o' the house to go to Marser Mainwaring's library, when this man, he comes up the avenue in a carriage, and the first thing I hear him a-cussin' the driver. Then he gets out and looks round kind of quick, just like the possum in the corn.
as if he was 'fraid somebody done see him. I was fixin' the roses on the front po'ch, and I looked at him powerful sharp, and when the door opened, he jumped in quick, as if he was glad to get out o' sight. Well, sah, I didn't like the 'pearance of that man, and I just thought I'd take another look at him, but he stayed a mighty long time, sah, and by I had to go to the tool house, and when I gets back the carriage was gone."
"Could you describe the man, Uncle Mose?" the coroner asked.
"No, sah, I don't know as I could 'scribe him perzactly, but I'd know him, no matter where I sot eyes on him, and I'd knowed him the next time I see him. Well, sah, that afternoon, Massa Mainwaring and the folks had gone out riding, and I was round kind of promiscuous like, and I see another carriage way down the avenue by the front gate, and I waited, 'spectin' maybe I'd see that man again. While I was waiting by the front door, all of a sudden a man come round from the side, as if he come from Master Mainwaring's library, but he was another man."
"Did he look at all like the first man?" inquired the coroner.
"No, sah, he looked altogether different, but I don't know as I could state wherein the differentiation consisted, sah. This man was very good looking 'ceptin' his eyes, and them you couldn't see, 'cause he had on colored glasses. Maybe his eyes was powerful weak, or maybe he didn't want nobody to see him, but I suspicioned them glasses directly, sah, and I watched him. He goes down to the carriage and takes out a coat and says something to the driver, and the carriage goes away towards the town, and he walks off the other way. By and by I see him gwine back again on the other side of the street."
"Was he alone?" interrupted the coroner.
"Yes, sah, and I done kept my eye on him, and he didn't go on to the town, but turned down the first side street. Well, sah, I didn't see no more of him then, but that evening I been a working round the house, sprinkling the grass and getting ready for the next day, when I happens to pass by the side door, and I sees them two men coming out together."
"What time was this, Uncle Mose?" the coroner asked quickly.
"Well, sah," said the old man reflectively, "my memory's a little dereliction on that p'int, but I knows 'twas getting putty late."
"Are you sure these were the same two men you had seen earlier in the day?"
"Yes, sah, 'cause I stepped in the bushes to watch 'em. They talked together very low, and then one man goes back into the house, and I seen him plain in the hall light, and he was the first man, and while I was a-watching him, the other man, he disappeared, and I couldn't see him nowhere, but I knowed he was the man that came in the afternoon, 'cause he looks just like him, and toted a coat on his arm. Well, sah, I thinks it a very curious sarcumstance, and I was just coming to the preclusion that I'd mention it to some of the fambly, when the first man, he come to the door with the housekeeper. I was in the shadder, and they didn't see me, but I hear 'em say, kind of soft like, 'Remember, my dear lady, this is a business contract. I does my part, and I expects my pay.' And she says, 'Oh, yes, yo shall have yo money without fail.' And I says to myself, 'Mose, yo old fool, what you standing here for? That ain't nothing that concerns you nohow,' and I goes home, and that's all I know, sir. But I's been powerful sorry eber since that I didn't let Master Mainwaring know 'bout it, 'cause I has my suspicions."
And the old darky shook his head, while the tears coursed down his furrowed cheeks. "How did you hear of Mr. Mainwaring's death?" asked the coroner. "The coachman, he done told me, sah." "Why, the coachman stated that you told him what had occurred."
"No, sah, he done told me. I'd come up to the place powerful early that morning, 'cause there was to be such big doings that day, and I was gwine to the tool house for something, and I see Master Walter riding away from the stables powerful fast on his hoss."
"Do you mean Walter LaGrange?"
"Yes, sah, and the coachman he came out, and I axed him where the young man was gwine that early, and he say Master Mainwaring been killed, and Master Walter had to go to town as fast as his hoss could take him."
"Do you know when he returned?"
"He came back, sah, before very long, and then he went away again and didn't come back till most noon."
When the old darky had been dismissed, the coachman was recalled. "What did you mean by stating that you first heard of Mr. Mainwaring's death from the gardener, when the reverse was true?"
"I don't know," he replied carelessly. "I suppose I got mixed. I remember talking with him about it, and I thought he told me."
"You had forgotten the interview with Walter LaGrange, I presume?" Brown made no answer. "Why did you not mention that?"
"I wasn't asked to," he replied in insolent tones. "You said nothing to me about Mr. LaGrange."
"You are expected to state in full every occurrence having any bearing on the situation. You may give the particulars of that interview now."
"There's nothing to tell more than Uncle Mose told. I was working in the stables as usual, and Mr. LaGrange came in a big hurry